All right, here we go. Another episode of the C Squared podcast. We are back. It's been a while, actually. I believe 2 to 3 weeks, but for very good reasons. And we will discuss those in just a second. So many things are happening, my guy. Fabi, first of all, let's start with this one. It's your birthday, my man. Happy birthday.
Thanks. It's 31.
Oh my goodness.
That's not a good thing, right? At some point it stops being a good thing.
It's at some point you stop caring. I think that's the way
I
it
no
goes.
longer care at all. I don't want to celebrate it. It used to, like when you're a kid, it's kind of a big deal. It seems to mean a lot, and now it's like I remember my last one. It feels like it was just like a week ago, pretty much.
Your last one is your 30th, yeah. So that's a big one.
No, I mean it wasn't like it wasn't a very pleasant one. Also, the last one, it was during a tournament, not a very good tournament for me. I wasn't particularly happy. This one is better. Like I didn't do anything, but I'm not unhappy, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's
we should
good.
celebrate the small victories of avoiding misery.
That's good enough. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. At some point, you just stop caring. I think after 30, I think 30 is the big one. And then you kind of realize that things are going downhill after 30, and then you kind of relax about it. You start accepting it, and then you kind of recalibrate and start focusing on the good stuff, on the right things.
The thing is, I don't think that things are going downhill. It's just that
everybody tells you that things are going downhill, though.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't feel that way.
Me neither. I'm actually feeling good.
Definitely, like your perception of time is speeding up. That's what I heard before, and now I feel it.
Yeah.
Time does seem to move pretty quickly. Also, maybe because when you stay busy, that makes time feel like it's moving very very quickly. And recently, I'm sure it's been the same for you, but for me, it's been a pretty busy period, and I haven't had a single day that I haven't been doing something.
Yep.
Even like a single hour sometimes. That's why we delayed this so long. Also because I was in Barcelona. I was literally working there like 10, 12 hours a day, and then usually going out with like the team.
Yep. Yeah.
For, like, a
speaking of
dinner.
that, let's discuss that. That was immediately after the GCT in Zagreb. You left. I left back after a 2.5 month stint in Europe. I went back to the US. Definitely had to solve a couple of things there and try not to get divorced before I get married. So that was what I did. Then I went to do commentary for another 10 days. So we were both kind of wrapped up in different projects in different corners of the world. And you were in Barcelona. You mentioned you were doing a chessable course.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can speak a little bit about it. I'm sure that some things they probably don't want me to speak about. Some things I'm sure they don't mind at all. So I went to, after Zagreb, I immediately caught a flight at 6 a.m. to get back to Spain in time to play the Champions Chess Tour, which was the same day that I was traveling. So the day after the last day of Zagreb. So I had to make sure that I would get in time for a 5 o'clock match against Eduardo Iturrizaga. And that meant that basically, since it's 2 flights to get from Zagreb to where I was going, I would need to take an early flight. So I got there around like 1 o'clock. I had a few hours just to rest, just to like take a little nap. Played Iturrizaga. I won that match much easier than I expected it to be. Thanks mostly to some good fortune. I just caught him in prep in one game, and then after that it was smooth sailing. And then the rest of the tournament didn't go very well for me, but I felt very burned out. Like, I played Magnus, and it almost felt like I wasn't there. Like, the match was 2.5, 1.5 for him, and I just, at no point in the match did I feel like some urgency to win.
Right.
I kind of knew I need to win to get back. And then it was just like draw. And I never felt the urgency And then also against Wesley, it felt a bit like I was detached from it. So
Like you were just
I
going
was
through
just,
the motions.
yeah, kind of. I mean, I wasn't like against Magnus. I didn't play badly, but I didn't really like amp up the pressure that in the way that you need to get to come back against Magnus. In the second game, I kind of almost did. Like I was almost proud of that game, but I never had serious chances to win a game objectively. Um, he was on the back foot for the second game and the third game slightly, and then fourth game he drew from like a huge position of strength. So
Why do you think that is? Was it just like too many things happening in a row, like too many tournaments, too much competition happening one after the other?
yeah, I think playing a lot, running from one event to the next. I mean, for Magnus, he also ran from one event to the next, but he handled it better. I just didn't. And like playing Zagreb, traveling and playing the very next day, the day that I'm traveling, I feel like okay, it was unavoidable for me and for anyone playing that tournament, but I definitely didn't have like huge expectations that I would be able to perform really well under those conditions. I'm not trying to make excuses because Magnus had exact same conditions, right?
Right. And I don't think it's a bad thing. Obviously, this is a good thing for chess professionals in general. We have more things to do. There's more tournaments. At some point, though, these questions are going to definitely have to be answered. Like whether you want to skip certain tournaments for various reasons, one of them being, getting burned out, because it's very easy to get
Yeah.
burned out. So
Yeah, the things I played right before Zagreb another tournament in Dortmund, so it was really like back to back to back, and maybe I didn't think it through so well, but I'm not complaining because yeah, it's still I'm uh, playing events is better than like having events is better than not having events.
yeah,
So
no, it's a good thing for chess professionals, the fact that the calendar is just getting busier and busier, and actually next year is just going to be absolute madness. Candidates, Olympiad, World Championship match, on top of everything else, and maybe GCT is adding, or at least they were saying that they're adding another tournament. So I don't know how we're going to go through all of those, but it's going to happen. Good.
no, I know my schedule, and for this year, pretty much,
Yeah.
if nothing gets added, it's completely packed till the end of the year, with like maybe a break in November. Because it's like World Cup. Obviously, I don't know how long World Cup will last for me because it's a knockout. So, could last a month, could last a few days in the worst case. But World Cup, I have like this rapid team World Championship.
Immediately after Dusseldorf, yeah.
Yeah, like literally, if I get to the final match of the World Cup and play the final match, I will have to travel straight to Dusseldorf and play the very next day. Then there's the Chess 9LX in St. Louis, which is across the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which starts like September, I don't know, 7th.
When's the last time you were in the US?
Uh,
It's been a long time,
Before the
right?
World Champion, it was during the World Championship match. It was halfway through when I went to do commentary in Madrid.
So I guess it was more or less at the same time when I left. I left April 24th and I came back June whatever, or July.
I think it may have been like mid-April, yeah,
July
something
10.
like that.
Yeah.
But
It's
there's
been a
like,
while.
for example, the Champion Chess Tour it culminates in Toronto in a live event, and I think I'm not pretty much 100%, regardless of how I do in the remaining events, to qualify. Maybe 99.9, but actually I think it's 100.
From points point of view, right?
Yeah, I don't think I have to play anymore, but just the points that I have, like I'm second.
Yeah, I think you made it to the Division 1 at least like 3 times.
Well, I qualified for the next one too.
So that's the fourth one, right? Out of 5. 4 out of 5 or something like that.
If I can physically make that event, which is a bit of a question because I'll have to fly from Europe to the US and start playing the next day. But if I can physically make that event, then it'll give me another guaranteed certain points. And so yeah, it's like Wesley is also I think a shoo-in, even if he doesn't win an event, and because it's 2 spots by points. So I'll get one, and probably Wesley will get another.
So it's looking good for you and Wesley in that one. No, that's an important one for sure. Definitely
Close to guaranteed. I mean, not 100%, but close to guaranteed. The other people, it's very interesting to see who will be the other people. I think like Fedo Save might have a good shot if he does well in the next one, but besides that, like at the moment, I think pretty much guaranteed. Magnus, Hikaru, Noterbeck, obviously guaranteed. Me, Wesley, most likely, and then 2 more spots. Sorry, 3 more spots, which will be an interesting question. Fedo Save, Levon, Jordan could, like a few people could make it.
Yeah. No, definitely a good one. Good to qualify for that one. It's going to be fun. Speaking of Chessable, how would you like that experience? You mentioned that you had a course, I believe, last few years, maybe like 4 years ago, and you weren't very happy with that experience, but...
Oh, but not a Chessable course.
This wasn't Chessable. This was like Chessable.
Yeah, just to be upfront, I did a chess-based course in 2019.
Yeah.
And although I'm not sure exactly how the reception was, I didn't think that the final product was really work that I could be proud of.
Right.
So this will be very different. I think it'll be really well received, but I can't say for certain. Only time will tell. It'll probably be released maybe by September, October. That would be my hope.
And you recorded a lot in Barcelona, because we were.
I can say how long it will be. Like it's going to be a 40-hour
course.
40-hour course, maybe a bit more.
Split in two parts?
No,
or just one part?
It's going to be one. It's going to be one. There's no logical way to split it in two. Otherwise, maybe it would be. But the course covers an opening, which really cannot be split because it's a very specialized opening. So it's not like, let's say, a repertoire against e4. It's more specialized than that. It's more, it goes a few moves deep. It's like a repertoire against a certain opening.
Yeah. Who would you say it is aimed for? What is the customer that's going to be able to use that the next day after they buy the course?
I definitely think that, like, files-wise, it could be used by a player my level. So it's basically stuff I would use myself. I'm not just saying that.
You're not holding back anything.
No, I don't hold back anything. It's stuff that, like, I analyzed independently for this opening for the course, and I probably wouldn't have done the analysis if not for the course, and I'm just giving it because I don't really care. Like people who turn on an engine can also find these moves. It's not like super top secret stuff, but the difficulty in the analysis is curating lines which are digestible to like a wide group of players. So not just strong players, but also players who don't want to, regurgitate 40 moves. Sometimes you have to do that, right? There are lines which are like 40 moves of pretty much incomprehensible stuff you just have to memorize. That's unavoidable. If you're being honest with someone, like if you honestly say this is the opening and sometimes white plays a critical line and sometimes you have to remember a certain amount of moves, which are very difficult for that line, right?
It also varies based on the level of competition, right? I mean, you're not going to have to memorize 40 moves of theory at 2200, 2300, 2400 level player. Once you hit GM, sure, maybe. There's those odd guys that will memorize 40 moves of theory and place them out.
Even 2400, I'm sure.
I've seen a few.
Yeah, 300.
I've seen a few 2400s.
But the interesting thing is, I looked at courses that are obviously high quality and generally very well received. But sometimes there is the criticism that because the player presenting is very strong, let's say 2700, 2650 level player, they tend to focus a bit more on lines that are critical to them. So if let's say I'm presenting the Najdorf, I might go very much into the detail of the English attack or bishop g5. But just as likely, if you're playing at let's say a level that varies between 1200 to 1800, so a wide variety of players, those players could see a majority of Grand Prix attack, closed Sicilian, even whatever d4 and c3 is called. What's that gambit called? The
D4 and C3? No, that's not Ponziani. You play the Ponziani. We were discussing about that. Okay, what is D4 C3? Evans?
No, not the Evans. Evans is B4 in the E4 E5.
Right.
No, I can't. Like I know what it is. I can't. I mean, Hikaru played against me in one of the Champions Chess Tour events a bunch of times. But anyway, I mean, our viewers will probably hate us for not knowing what the line is called.
It's fine.
But
actually are not that good with opening names.
No, but the thing is, I do know this one. I'm just blanking. But so the point is just that if you're a player who's 1200 or if you're a player who's 1800, you will see different lines than a player who's 2400, 2600, and so on. Which means that the importance in covering lines is not just to go into a million moves of poison pawn theory, but also to cover, let's say, the Grand Prix attack in detail, that your viewer actually understands what they're doing.
And I would say that's probably the most difficult thing to do as a player of your caliber, right? Because you look at the position and then you're like, okay, this move doesn't make that much sense at my level, but this course is also aimed at lower level, so how do I implement that into the course? Did you have any problems with that? Did you get directives? Like, what's the system looking like?
No, I wasn't given any guidance in terms of, I mean, the creative process was entirely, I was given full creative freedom, so I could choose any lines I want, I could explain it in any way I want, which is, I think, good because, it gives a bit more, let's say, variance in terms of the courses, so different players will have their own styles, different presenters, let's say. Mm-hmm. So if they're not trying to guide the process, you're going to get that difference in styles, which maybe the viewer will like. They can watch Gawain if they want. They can watch Anish if they want. Like, everyone has their own different presenting style and analyzing style. I found the easiest part was to explain plans in systematic lines. When I say systematic, I mean lines where both sides have a clear plan. And to give an example of that, I would say the plan in, let's say, the classical Spanish lines is white gets the knight from b1 to d2 to f1 to g3, right? So that's systematic. And black plays rook e8, bishop f8, g6, bishop, that's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. To explain those plans is pretty simple, and then to curate a repertoire where you have a consistency of ideas, so you try to follow the same plans, is easy in the sidelines, because the sidelines usually give you a lot of freedom. So let's say the d3 Spanish, you have a lot of freedom. You can choose to, let's say, recommend that black plays with d6 and g6, and then you're going to always see a lot of the same ideas. Or you recommend that black plays b5, bishop c5, and then you always see similar ideas there. So that part I found very easy and actually quite enjoyable. The difficulty is in the sharp lines, because although I'm sure, like, in games of players who are, let's say, 1300, it probably accounts for like 1% of their games that they're going to see super, super sharp main lines.
It doesn't actually matter, yes.
But you still have to give those lines because you're also catering to international masters or FIDE masters who will find those interesting. And also because you just have to be honest about what you're showing, right? You can't just say, the Open Spanish, like, let's say in the Open Spanish, c3 is like the main move. And then you're like, okay, most people play queen e2 or something, so we're not going to look at, like, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it gets difficult, because then very often you're operating with only moves in some lines, and then you have to tell your viewer that, yeah, in this position, if you don't make these certain moves, you might just lose the game. So these moves are really important, and you have to memorize them. That's the difficulty. And then the difficulty was also choosing lines where black sometimes has to make only moves, but which only moves are more difficult. Like, you have sometimes a branch. In this branch, you have to make these only moves. And in this branch, you have to make these only moves. Which branch do you recommend? This one? Are these moves more difficult, or this one? Or, that part I found difficult. And the main difficulty I found was that talking for 8 hours a day is very unpleasant.
Yes.
It's not fun.
Yes, of course not.
And also talking to nobody, because there's nobody in the room with me. It's not like something I can say is enjoyable.
Did you do multiple takes? Did you have to do multiple takes?
Oh
of
yeah,
course?
yeah, yeah. For many reasons. To start with, because I would sometimes fuck up.
Yes. That's
I
the
would
easy part.
speak.
Yeah.
I would stutter. It would. In one case, I just realized midway that there was a flaw in my analysis. Not like the line was bad, but there was a move order difference. And in this move order difference, I recommended different lines. And then halfway through, I was like, wait, this makes no sense. I had to redo the file on the spot.
Yeah.
What else was difficult? Yeah, like speaking, you lose your voice at some point. It's
Yes, speaking very specific for a prolonged period of time can be quite difficult. I've noticed that when I was occasionally recording, like even when I recorded some of your games highlights and things of that nature, like speaking for 30 minutes, by the end of it, I already feel like my voice is, not there anymore. Fully.
Yeah.
Mostly because you just have to like keep going so that you don't lose your tempo, right? And I would assume it's the same thing whenever you're recording a course.
Yeah, you want to keep a consistency, but
That's
not
the
to
thing.
sound too robotic.
Yeah.
And another difficulty is that sometimes you just go on autopilot because I'm not like I don't have all these variations perfectly memorized that I can just bang them out without some sort of guide, right?
Yeah.
So I do have the analysis there to tell me what, and I'm thinking about the position, but I can't just like when I'm trying to remember something over the board, I think for like a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that. You have to just like boom, 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 just say the moves, right?
Exactly.
So, and in this type of opening, it's impossible to remember in that level of speed, like to accurately always be able to remember exactly which move, which means that I have the analysis in front of me, and I'm still thinking about the position, but there is a tendency to go on autopilot and just to say like, this is the move, this is the explanation, which I don't want to do. I want to be thinking about it. So if there's something in my analysis which was like, this detail wasn't mentioned, then at least in the video I can say, oh, and here if white does this, then that's not good because of this, right?
Yeah, no.
But yeah, overall, it's
I know how it goes.
It's a very challenging process. I mean, I can understand why people do it, and also I can understand why people aren't attracted to making these very detailed courses. But some people really are very gifted at it. They excel. I saw like one Chessable course is like 108 hours long, which is just unthinkable to me. Like to record 108 hours.
It's probably like a month worth of recording.
No,
Yeah.
you won't do it in a month. There's no
Really?
way.
More than that.
If you're working every day for a month, you will not get 108. I think that if you work, let's say 10 hours a day, you'll get 6 hours out. If you're
Really? Wow.
yeah, 6 quality hours.
That's curated. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
because you're
that's-
going to do multiple takes, you're going to take breaks. You're going to have to rest a little bit. So you're going to be at the office. 10 hours. You put 6. That's a very good amount. 6 hours of recording. If you can get that out in a day, I didn't manage. I was doing average 5 hours.
So you're not actually done with the course yet. You still have to record a little bit.
No, I've done 25 hours of it.
That's good. That's a good start. You need
Maybe 26. Maybe 26.
a couple more weeks in Barcelona. When are those
Well,
coming?
4 more days, and they estimate I'll be done.
Do you know when you're going to do that? Do you have a timeline?
I don't know.
Idea, huh? That's good. All right. We spoke about the course at length, and I'm sure we're going to retouch on that in whenever it's close to being ready. So that's good. What did you do after? Yeah, you went on a camp, right?
Yeah,
Preparation
I
camp
won't
for
speak much about that, but yeah, we went on a camp.
World Cup. How would you like the camp? Where was the camp? You don't have to speak.
No,
give
I won't
too
speak too much about
details.
it. I mean, it was very standard training, and we'll see how it actually works out in the tournament. I mean, that's time will tell,
Yeah.
as you say.
Time will only time will tell.
Only time will
It's
tell.
it's only time will tell. Yes, very good. All right, good. Now in Baku, you're there with somebody. I don't know if you want to mention with who, but
Yeah, I can say. I mean, it's like very like. I mean, we go around together.
it's
Like
it's been a while.
Grigori Larin,
Yeah.
your student. Um, and I think that it's pretty much like clear. Like we're not hiding anything. So
Yeah, it hasn't been in hiding mode for a while now. Good. How is Baku? Tell us your first impressions. You're seeded into the second round, so the tournament already started. I think the first round was today, the first game of the first round. But you're seeded in the second round, so you're only starting in a couple of days. Is that correct?
yeah, the first round was played today. Many of the players, I can tell you how many are seeded directly into round two. So the highest rated player not seeded into round two is Sheparinov. He's rated 2651,
Mm-hmm.
and he's playing round one.
Yes.
Everyone higher than Sheparinov is seeded directly into round two, and likewise with the Women's World Cup, a certain amount of players are seeded directly into round two. I'm not sure exactly where the cutoff is there, but it's the same sort of system.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm playing the winner of the match between Meshedlishvili from Georgia and Larusas from Lithuania. And I think it's a pretty close match, pretty much a toss-up. 25-66, 25-61. They drew the first game. It was very up and down, and both players, Larusas was at some point objectively winning, and Meshedlishvili was at some point objectively winning. So pretty close match, and obviously after that match it becomes more and more like if I get past it, then it becomes more and more unpredictable because there's so many possibilities. But the interesting thing about my bracket is that it's all American. All the Americans are in the same bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm trying to find
I could play
on the bracket right now. All right, I found you. Yes.
like you could see, for example, a Wonder is my third round. He's one of the possibilities for a third round,
Yes.
and I think he's likely to get to the third round. To the third round, and so Ray Robson is in my round. Ray will play the winner of Fier versus Nagy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. Maybe our Hungarian viewers can say.
Gabornagi, I think. But yes,
I'm not sure that's right either.
probably.
I think it's something like Naj, but I'm not okay.
I see Duda is
and
also there.
Duda's there. He's the highest after me in that bracket.
Yes.
For example, Gareev, Lenier, like these are all players I could play at some point. Sam, Christopher Yu didn't show up.
Yeah, there's something about Christopher Yu. Something is definitely happening. I don't have any inside information about that, but he missed the juniors as well. And that was a big one. That nowadays the juniors is actually a big one because it gives you one spot to the US champs. And I mean, it's so difficult by rating to qualify for the US champs right now. You need close to 2,700.
Yeah.
So missing that for him.
He's very good, which means that it's
good.
a lucky break for his opponent in the second round. Automatically seeded was Serrana. Mm-hmm. And so since Christopher Yu forfeited to a Chinese player named Huang Renshi,
mm-hmm.
Serrana gets I don't know. Maybe this player is also super strong like Christopher, and maybe it's not a lucky break for Serrana, but on paper it's a better pairing for Serrana, right?
Huang Renji, I've actually seen him in recent Spanish tournaments. He's traveling with the Chinese delegation that was doing like a tour of Spain and playing every single tournament there. I think they went to Bill as well. He's around 2,400, 2,420, I think, entering those, but I have to say his level is probably GM level. I would say GM level.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not surprising. But yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens. So it's like, yeah, Sam and Lenier are on a direct path, but Sam has to get past Radoslav Wojtaszek, which is a toss-up match, in my opinion. It's a very close match. And Lenier has to get past Actually, Linear might have a pretty easy path to
So Eric
the
didn't
match
make it
against.
either, by the
Yeah,
way.
Eric didn't make it, unfortunately, so he's forfeited. He didn't make the first round.
So Wojtaszek is playing this the Silva guy, and then Wojtaszek probably is going to go past
To,
him.
yeah,
That's my guess.
to play the winner of Sam against
Nijat
either,
Mamedov or Skichko.
yeah, which I don't know who's better between them. It's probably pretty close.
Nijat is the rating favorite, but
Okay.
the thing is, everything can happen. I mean, this elimination format is so unpredictable.
Yeah, that's true.
You have one
But I
bad
think
bad day
when I
at
look
the
at
office,
Lanier's
and
Lanier's bracket, it looks like Lanier. I feel like he's a very heavy favorite to play either Wojtaszek or Sam. Like that other side is much more difficult for some reason. I don't know why. They have like two 2,700 players who meet very early on in round 3. Well, okay, yeah, it's a bit of a mix, right?
yeah,
I'm like, I feel like Wesley's is not super easy. Wesley plays perhaps Musard, perhaps Durar Bailey, which is also not easy. Yeah, there's.
well, first of all, he has to pass through Emre Khan most likely. Though it seems like Luis Ernesto Quesada Perez is also some sort of a GM close in ratings. And these guys
Okay,
are
but-
not pushovers. I mean,
No, they're not. But Wesley's a heavy favorite. Just like looking at,
huge favorite, yes.
I mean, like let's say 85 to 90% favorite.
91.8 according to this. There's this bracket that shows the percentages of people.
Huge favorite. Huge favorite.
Yes, and I think you are. Let's see. I'm going to put some pressure on you. 92.91
Okay.
to pass through the second round, then 77.5 to pass through a third, then 59, and then finally.
But this is like cumulative, yeah. So it's
I
not.
think it's cumulative.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's cumulative, not based on who you're going to meet in those times. But yeah, you have a 27 towards the end, and to be the winner right now, it seems like you're looking at an 8.68. Is that good odds? All right, who has the best
I mean,
odds? Let's see.
There's so many players. I mean, obviously Magnus has the best odds. What?
They're giving Magnus at 26.99%.
Okay, I think that's too high.
That's
I
a
think
bit
they
too high.
overestimated it a bit. I mean, look, I'm not
He's never won
like
it.
people are. If Magnus wins, people are going to come back and see like, how could you say that? But okay, we're not talking about after the fact. There's a lot of players, and obviously, the equity is diluted massively. And yeah, Magnus is a favorite in all of his matches, but does he really have a quarter? Does he like really take a quarter
That's
of
really
the field?
a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. All right, let's see what Hikaru has. They're putting Hikaru at a 10.15%. So I guess everything is based on some sort of a rating formula. My guess
Actually,
is they're taking rapid and
this is
physical
like-
also.
Like Hikaru is also being slightly overvalued at the moment, maybe because he's been on a pretty good hot streak.
Yeah. I mean, he's
But-
number 2 in the world right now. So I would assume that's why
Yeah.
I'm saying he's probably
But,
based on
okay.
rating.
I just want to say, like, this whole number 2 in the world thing is like a little bit okay. It starts to get a little bit silly. I mean,
yes.
it's like 3 months ago there was this discussion: is Nepo or is Ding the clear, undisputed number 2 in the world? And then they both scored a minus in one tournament, and then the question disappeared because neither of them was number 2 in the world. And then the question was, is Alireza Firouzja the clear, undisputed number 2 in the world? Until he went to number 6. And then the question was, am I? Until I lost to Hikaru in the last game.
That's right.
Look, I'm obviously...
Undisputed, baby.
I mean, Hikaru... Look, I don't want to... Hikaru has had the best... In terms of all players in the world, Hikaru has been the best in the last year.
Yes.
Better than Magnus. He won...
Really?
he won the
You would
American
put
Cup.
him higher than Magnus.
In terms of, like, I
Combination of
value very
classical,
much...
rapid, blitz, everything.
Yeah, American Cup is a big one to win, in my opinion. It's very tough. And then Norway Chess, uh, he won. And the online events, like, okay, the Bullet Championship, I don't rate at all. Okay, I mean, now, Bullet is a different story. It's not really chess. It's kind of chess, but it's also like a video game,
It is.
partly. Uh, and so, okay, but the Speed Chess Championship is chess, and he did win that against Magnus. He won one of the Rapid Champion chess tournaments. He got to the final of another. So in terms of him and Magnus have had pretty much equivalent results. Although Magnus won two, so okay, Magnus edges him a bit there. But having the best classical performance, yeah, it's kind of hard to say because Magnus did win the Rapid and Blitz World Championship. That's a big one. But Hikaru definitely has a claim to say in the last year he's been the, if not the best, then like equal best or something.
He does. Yeah,
he has a claim. It's a disputable claim, but it's still
disputable.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Hikaru, he got married. Congratulations, Hikaru. Well done, putting a ring on it. Congratulations to him and Atusa. We've been seeing them travel together tournaments for quite a while. It was interesting that they chose this exact time just before the World Cup started. And then they went on some sort of a honeymoon. And then, what's his name? Chris Littlejohn was there as well.
Okay, but that's not a honeymoon. That's not a honeymoon. Look, I mean, it was some sort of training / vacation, but I don't think that you take your second to a honeymoon.
Yeah.
That doesn't count as a honeymoon anymore.
Get married, go on a honeymoon, get the second. I like it. And now.
But yeah, that's good. I mean, they've been together for a few years.
Yeah.
But it's a really good step in his life and their life, for both of them.
Yeah, no, and they seem very happy together. So, congratulations. How do you say? In Romania, we have the saying "Casa de Piatră," which means house of stone, meaning that you're gonna have a solid household. Do you have? Why are you laughing? House of stone.
House of stone?
Yes.
You're going to have a solid house?
Casa de Piatră, meaning we wish you house of stone, meaning it's going to be a very solid foundation that you're going to build your family.
Fortunately, in the U.S., all our houses are made of wood. I mean, not all of them, but like there's this...
The majority of it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but American architecture, they like to use their wood. It's not as good as brick, but...
We can go into American architecture, but do you have a saying similar to that? That wishes them...
No, but I think that we should just adopt yours.
House of stone.
It would sound so weird if, like, let's say at an American wedding, you wish the couple getting married to, like, enjoy your new life, and we hope you have a house of stone. It sounds like an insult almost.
Yes, if you put it that way, yes. But it's a good thing. Anyway, only good stuff to Hikaru. By the way, I think we had a couple of high-profile marriages. What's his name? Parham got married as well.
Yeah.
Just before he went to the World Cup. So it seems like end of July, August is a big month. A lot of intriguing chess players are getting married. That's good. All right. Hans won a tournament. He was really speedrunning out of top 100, but he managed to pull the brakes and he won a big tournament. So congrats to Hans as well. Still playing absolutely non-stop, which I don't condone, but he seems to be happy with it. Tournament in Kazakhstan. He won some rating points as well. So
he won his last 5 games. He won 4 rating points.
Yes.
He destroyed.
That's actually kind of sad.
Saturaman. No, wait, was it Saturaman? I think it was in the last round. And he recovered from an early loss. So it's a good. I mean, it's important when you're like in free fall, which he was, to at some point stop the damage, stop the tilt. He's still down plenty of rating recently, but But
That's
he
the
did
thing
win
about
stuff.
open tournaments, right? They're so easy to lose rating points in. Every single open tournaments, you're going to find some underrated players coming from, India and China have these ridiculously strong 2000s to 2400 players that could easily be GM level. So you lose against one of those guys, you drop like close 10 rating points instantly. It's such a gamble.
That's sort of what happened to Hans, right? He lost some pretty costly games rating wise.
Yeah, that's a good word.
But yeah, I mean, look, I still want him to do well. I'm actually happy when he's doing well.
Absolutely, we need Hans. We need Hans.
Really invested in it, but
we want Hans in the elite.
He also has like one blitz game.
Wait, what?
I don't know why. Like I'm looking in 2700 chess. So 28 games in the last month, 28 classical games, and one solitary blitz game.
I don't see it.
But I mean, like just go to his name and click on the like little magnifying glass next to blitz.
There's a blitz one as well.
So only one blitz game was rated out of all? Because it's round 9. It shows it's round 9.
Yes.
In Shimonov.
Astana Zul Dizdari Blitz Tournament. Lost couple of rating points there. But okay, I mean, Blitz is not that relevant. Okay, good. Excellent. Congratulations, Hans. You did well. Looking forward to seeing you.
By the way, in the still the topic of young talented chess players,
sure,
I'm keeping up to date with our Indian prodigy race. I mean, in our first episode we discussed which one will succeed,
yes.
And obviously, like Gukesh is in the clear lead
by far,
since he's number 11 in the world, and he's already established himself as like a genuine top player, not just a promising player, but a top player. And Prague is starting to catch up. Pragnanta.
He is. And
my pick is not making as much progress. I mean, he's still like 2700 plus. He's keeping his Arjun Erigaisi. He's keeping his rating, but he is losing some ground to Pragnanta, who is now a bit higher rated, and a lot of ground to Gukesh, who is much higher rated.
And Pragnanta is also, I believe, much younger than Erigaisi. Pragnanta is basically the same
17.
age as Gukesh. 17, both Gukesh and Pragnanta. Gukesh said something interesting recently. I think after his most recent successes, he was giving an interview and he said that basically at this point he sort of established himself as a colleague of the elite players rather than just a hope. Do you see him already as a colleague?
Well, okay, so I play him pretty often these days in tournaments, and he does perform pretty reasonably well, usually between middle and upper middle of the pack. In genuine top, like Norway chess, he was, I guess, a little bit above middle of the pack. In the last tournament in Zagreb, he was, I think, a little bit, like same as Norway chess, a little bit above middle of the pack. So based on the last two recent events, also Turkish League, which I didn't play in, but he did go +5 and gained a tiny bit of rating there.
Yep.
His results are indistinguishable from a top player at, let's say Richard Rapport.
Yes.
Or you can pick whoever you want. Maybe not whoever you want, but you can pick a few of them, and you would say that he's playing at the same level, results-wise, still with limited data, and still, when I play him, I'm going to be, for the moment, a little bit less afraid than if I'm playing some of the, let's say, top guys.
So you still feel like there's some patches for him to cover compared to the top guys?
I think he's super strong, but I still wouldn't say, okay, is Gukesh as strong as Anish? Is he as strong as Jan? Okay, I would not say that. I mean, I think that would be silly to say.
Mm-hmm.
But, he has momentum, and and he's playing well in every event he plays in,
Yeah.
pretty much without fail.
On
If that
any
keeps up,
single day, he can play at that level for sure.
I don't think it matters much for him because he's obviously going to be a top player for a long, long time. If he has a bad event this year or a few bad events this year, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot in his career. I just I look at it from the perspective of someone who's played as a 17-year-old and also has who's also been established for quite a long time. I know that one event doesn't make or break your career unless it's one of those opportunities that you get maybe only a few times, right?
Yeah.
Which would be either candidates or world championship. It's only those few events.
No, based on the formula that we were discussing of being a certain rating up to a certain age, he's doing quite well. 2750 at 17, definitely impressive. He's been tested. I mean, I remember at Tata Steel he started off horrendously. I think he was -4. Came back with some crucial victories. So he's been tested quite a lot.
I can tell you the difference there.
Yeah.
Is his openings got good.
Much better since January.
His openings were shit. And I don't say that as an insult, but they were just shit at the start of the year. And in the last half a year, 7 months, he's gotten good openings. He has a legit repertoire that it's it's easy these days to build a repertoire based on the Berlin. You put a few weeks in and you've got it. But he did that work and he got a legit repertoire, which is really annoying to break down. I've been through this for the last, let's say, 14 years, trying to find an advantage in the Berlin. Hasn't really happened, although I've tried my best. And sometimes I've gotten an advantage. Sometimes I haven't. I probably played. The thing is that sometimes I look at games in, let's say I'm interested in a line, and I look at some anti-Berlin or some Berlin, and I see that I played this game and I forgot about it. I played this line and I forgot about it 11 years ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did analyze this a decade ago, and it didn't really work then, and it's pretty much the same now. The theory somehow hasn't moved too much, which is a little bit demoralizing when you're trying to break down an opening. And I'm not giving too much away by saying that the Berlin still is.
I don't think so. I would assume that's kind of the general consensus about the state of chess nowadays. Break the Berlin, good luck. All right, Fabi. Well, I think we caught up on a lot of subjects. We discussed a lot of subjects, and I don't want to hold you for too long because this is already pretty late for you in Baku.
Okay, I just have one last thing.
Yes.
So I went to the gym today.
In Baku.
Yeah, the very nice hotel, nice gym, nice sauna. I went to sauna and everything. And so my workout was 10 minutes of a pretty brisk jog on the treadmill, and then some weights for half an hour. And Noterbeck comes in the gym, and he goes pretty consistently on the treadmill, 14 kilometers an hour
that's a lot.
For 4 kilometers.
That's really a lot. That's
very 20
fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid pace.
That's a good pace. I don't go more than 9.
9 kilometers is it's like a
chill
standard
pace.
jog, right?
Yeah,
chill jog.
Yeah. No, if I go 11 already, 5 to 10 minutes max on 11. He does more than that on 14?
Well, he's obviously a bit skinnier, so it's going to be easier to carry the weight. I'm not. That's not an insult.
No, that's a good
I'm not calling you fat. I'm not calling you fat.
No, thank you. I look. Yeah, we're not going to get into it. But no, I don't have any problems.
No, I'm kidding.
With you.
It's a good pace. They're both 14. I think if you want cardio, you don't need to go that fast, right? If you jog for 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a little bit slower pace, then also works perfectly fine. But anyway, just a little story about the gym here.
So what was what was the, how do you call it? the climax of the story?
No, that's it. I left the gym.
Okay.
I haven't done weights in a while, and I wanted to do some squatting, and they do actually have a squat rack, and they have very assorted plates. Like the plates are kind of strewn out all over the gym, so you have to go searching for plates.
Uh-huh.
But since it's been a while since I've been back, I did a pretty light session,
As you should.
and then I went to the sauna.
I mean, this is a big tournament. This is a long tournament. This is a tournament in which you need some serious physical resilience. I mean, once you get into those later rounds, things get pretty gnarly. How are
The
you
World
feeling
Cup
about
is
that?
sort of like it's sort of
marathon,
like
yeah?
it's sort of like South Park. It's bigger, it's longer, and it's uncut.
And with that, I think it's a good time to finish the podcast. I'll keep an eye on your results. Maybe we'll catch up after some of your rounds. We'll keep in touch. Good luck, Fabi. And
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, don't forget, share your comments, send some good vibes Fabi's way. Big competition, long competition, and we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep some updates, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next weeks, maybe next couple of weeks pod. See you. Cheers.